Section 1.8, inverse and the contrapositive. You need to be able to write the inverse and the contrapositive and also evaluate their truth value. Remember, if the original statement down here is P implies Q, the converse is Q implies P. So the inverse and the contrapositive are going to be changes like that. First of all, the inverse is formed by negating the antecedent and negating the consequent. So in other words, if the original statement is P implies Q, the inverse statement is not P implies not Q. And we use symbols that look like this to indicate not, or the negation of that. So let's look at our statement that we looked at. I'm going to abbreviate it. If an animal is a bird, then it can fly. So its inverse would be, if an animal is not a bird, then it cannot fly. And these things, again, say different things. They have the same instance, but they have different counterexamples. So again, here are counterexamples. Here's the penguin. This statement. Our counterexample. Words. If it is not a bird, then it cannot fly. So I'm looking for something that's not a bird that can fly. Something that would be a bat or an insect or something like that. The contrapositive is formed by negating both the antecedent and the consequent, and then also switching them. So if our original statement is if P then Q, the contrapositive would be if not Q, then not P. So we're switching them around and negating at the same time. So symbol-wise, P implies Q becomes not Q implies not P. Again, that's the not symbol. So again, if an animal is a bird, then it can fly. Contrapositive. If an animal cannot fly, then it is not a bird. Now, interestingly here, the counterexamples of the penguin. Here, counterexample over here is also the penguin and the ostrich, etc. Because the penguin cannot fly, but it is a bird, so it's true here and then false here. So those two statements are said to be logically equivalent. So a logical equivalent are statements that have the exact same truth value. They may not have the exact same meaning for everything, but they're going to have the same truth value because they have the same set of counterexamples. So the original statement and the contrapositive are logical equivalents. The converse and the inverse are also logically equivalent to each other, because the inverse is the contrapositive of the converse. You look at it that way. Now this page shows you all of those in notation form for a couple of examples. If we just start off, like number one here, we start off with P implies Q, using symbols for those. Number two here, we look at throwing a negation into the original statement. So if I say not A implies B, the converse would be B implies not A. the inverse, so when we negate a negation, it just becomes A, implies not B. And the contrapositive is not B implies A. And I have all the bird examples down there as well. So again, the original statement and the contrapositive are saying the same thing. Converse